You are now tuned into I Shaved My Ass for This, a podcast about all things dating and desire from the perspective of those on the margins. Here's your host, Natalia Lee Brown.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Another episode of I Shaved My Ass for This, and thank you so much for joining me. I know what you're all thinking. Oh my God, it's this bitch again. Yes, it is me, the NLB, back. And I'm just happy to have you with me, as always. This episode, I'm going to try something a little bit different. I've been playing around with this idea for a little while, and I thought it would be fun and cathartic just to have a little fireside chat. Maybe one in every 10 episodes will be this format. A little shorter, perhaps a little bit more intimate, just me and you, sans guests, no special interview, just me talking about an issue within the dating, intimacy, and pursuit of partnership realm that is really close to my heart, something that I've struggled with or what have you. So I thought it was a perfect time with holiday spirit and holiday cheer in the air, with 2024 right around the corner. We look back on 2023 and lament, and we look forward to the future with so much hope. But this period of time for me, and I don't know about you, but if you're anything like me, perhaps you too, this time of year brings up a lot of feelings of depression. I am down. The days are shorter. I am a summer girl. I like the sun. I like the heat. Days are short, especially where I am, where the sun sets around 3:30. People are short. They are pale. Things just are in a state of decay. And then we're expected to be cheery and open presents. Shout out to the holidays. They're for the kids. I am an adult. I don't have any kids. So this time of year kind of sucks. And because of that, I thought it would be the perfect moment to talk about dating while depressed, because one monkey doesn't stop the show. You know, sometimes it's appropriate to put yourself out there, sometimes it is not. But dating while depressed is something that I've experienced, and I wanted to get into it a little bit. So before I go into story time, before I go on about myself, I wanted to give a disclaimer at the top of the episode, just so nobody gets it twisted. Number one, I have dealt with depression. I've dealt with clinical depression, but I am not a professional. If you resonate with some of the stuff that I say in this episode, if you have somebody close to you in your life that you think could benefit from it because they're going through similar things, please, I encourage you to see a professional. I know that healthcare and coming by a good therapist is difficult, but it is not to be substituted with people like me who knows little to nothing, or faux doctors on TikTok telling you to drink a green juice and, do sunlight treatment therapy or whatever. Go to somebody with a degree. Go with somebody who has a wealth of experience dealing with different types of people of your own experience. I know from experience that it does help. And if you're struggling with depression, or you know somebody who is, also know that not everybody's experience is the same. Depression is so complicated because it happens in the brain. And even some of the best minds, neuroscientists, neurosurgeons, people way smarter than me are still trying to decode the complexities of our mind. And because of that, and because we all inhabit different bodies, depression looks different. So I say all that to say, please look into professional help if you're struggling with your mental health. Medication could work. It may be right for you. And don't give up. If the first person you see isn't for you, there are a host of others. There are new therapists graduating every day. There are different modalities. If you're not a chatterbox like me and you want to feel into your body, there's somatic therapy. There's a lot. So give yourself the gift of professional help this holiday season if it's something that you feel you need. Just so we have working knowledge, because it has come to my attention recently, not everybody experiences depression, which is wild to me because for me, depression has been like a hater ass friend who won't leave you alone. But I've dated people who have never been depressed a day in their life. I have people in my own family who don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And it could be discouraging, but we all have our own experiences. So, for those of you who may not experience depression or may not have working knowledge of what it is, according to the Mayo Clinic, I did a little bit of research. Depression is a mood disorder that causes a persistent feeling of sadness and loss of interest. Also called major depressive disorder or clinical depression, it affects how you feel, think, and behave, and can lead to a variety of emotional and physical problems. You may have trouble doing normal day to day activities, and sometimes you may feel as though life is not worth living. And it's more than the blues, it's more than feeling down. Although depression isn't a weakness, you can't simply snap out of it. And that's an important point. It's not just, get some rest and watch a Disney movie kind of thing. Like I said earlier, everybody's experiences with depression is different. Like myself, I've had long-term depression, not consistently since I was young, but in different periods of my life since a very early age. For other people, depression can be brought on by a traumatic event. Poverty is a major cause of depression. It could be something that's biological, you're more biologically predisposed to via family history or a health condition, hormonal changes. People can feel depression because of a lack of community and support, and those struggling with substance abuse are more likely to experience depression as well. And because of all this, people within the alphabet mafia, the LGBT community, are more likely to experience depression than those who are heterosexual. So, all the girls and the dolls out there, like, take care of yourselves. Depression can be treated. Get help, get help, get help. If there's anything I want to stress in this episode, there is no shame, and treatment works. I'm a testament to it. All right, let me get off of my soapbox and let's get into story time. Like I said, depression is my old homegirl. I remember feeling depressed right around puberty, when puberty struck, and everybody was just like, oh, she's just a hormonal teen. But it was just like the lows were so low to the point where I mentioned earlier, I'm a summer girl. I thrive in the summer. I love the glistening of sweat on my skin. I love getting, a deep, rich mahogany tone under the sunlight. And growing up in a really sunny place, I remember there being periods of time where it could be sunny, but my mind wouldn't even register the sun. It was like I couldn't recognize that the sun was shining. And that's how I could first describe depression from my child brain. As I got older and I got into therapy and there was more language around it, I found that my depression is achievement oriented. So if I'm not achieving in the way that I expect to, I have like a severe glitch in the system. I don't deal with it well. I could say that I am flexible, but when it comes to the expectations that I put on myself, honey, I get down bad real quick. And I've done a lot of work to learn how to cope with this side of myself because it's something that's inherent in me. I don't know of any other family members who have been diagnosed with depression, but I know that it's something that's encoded into my DNA almost. And as I've gotten older, I've learned how to deal with it better, to feel a depressive episode coming, to prepare, to also set like daily benchmarks for myself in terms of self care and maintaining just bodily health and getting back to a point where I'm mentally strong enough to get out of the episode. But one thing that getting older and especially moving out of my 20s taught me is that hindsight is the best teacher. When I meditate and think about my life in relationships, one thing became really clear, that there was a major link between my depressive episodes and my worst relationships. I mean, duh, right? But like, it was like an epiphany, a eureka moment when I finally sat with myself and I was like, yo, there's a clear link here. I'm not about to go on and vilify these partners in these two relationships because who cares? I had a hand in choosing them and I was there too. I really want to go into how my shaky mental health at the time impacted my life severely. So let me paint the picture of where I was at when I was in these depressive episodes and why I even thought it was a good idea to date. In both of these instances, I was in major transitional points in my life. The first relationship, I was at a job that I was sure wasn't right for me, but there was so much fear around what was next. I didn't have a model in front of me of somebody who was doing what I wanted to do. I felt like I was dipping my toe in all of these different pools, and the temperature of the water just wasn't quite right in any of them. I didn't feel like I fit. I couldn't find my community. And it was in this desperate search that I found partner number one. The second time, I was getting ready to make a major move, a major move. I was packing up the first and only apartment I had on my own. And I was terrified because I was going to a city where I didn't have any professional connections. I was starting over completely just off of like instinct. And there's this thing that I did at that time where I got into this mindset where I thought, you know what? There's a handful of people. And this is a real hoe moment, just disclaimer. I thought to myself, there is a handful of people out there who I know have been trying to holler at me. I know it. I see them at the function. I see them at the show. I see them at the little kickback. And for whatever reason, it's just hasn't worked out, right? They dated a homegirl. There's rumors about them. I got a weird feeling. But I'm like, I'm about to be up out of here. I'm going to get out of here. And I don't want to leave with any regrets. So if this short list of people, if anybody from this short list comes my way, crosses my path, I'm going to give them a chance. And wouldn't you know it, one of those people, they came a knocking and I gave them a chance. Worst mistake ever. Go with your initial feeling. But that's where I was at during those periods of time. I was experiencing a lot of uncertainty, a lot of insecurity, and a lot of fear as to what the future would bring. The commonalities that these two relationships had was that initially I was not attracted to these people. I liked the feeling of being desired, and the feeling of being desired and the comfort that it gave me outweighed my gut instinct to stay away from them. Also, being in a depressed state, when you feel like there's nobody on your side, when you feel so alone, having somebody come and demonstrate the opposite, it's like this boost of serotonin. You're like, oh my God, like I'm at my lowest. If this person can see me at this point and see something good, I gotta go with it. I must, right? But because I was in such a point of upheaval, I felt as though instead of acknowledging that I was struggling mentally and really taking the time and care to address those issues, I poured all of my energy into these relationships. I thought to myself, even if the shoe doesn't fit, if I cram and contort and curl my toes under and loosen the laces, maybe the leather will stretch. Maybe these situations will work. And that's all I did during these periods of time. I gave everything to these relationships. And because I wasn't checking in with myself and because I wasn't even aware of the root problem of me just being in a totally fucked up mental space, it led me not only to the wrong people, but it put me in a position to rely on these people for way too much. And I do want to say, I don't think that either of these partners in these relationships preyed upon my vulnerable state. But some of the things that I value in partnership, some of the qualities that I value in the people that I have dated when I've had better mental health, it just wasn't there with these two. It just wasn't there. My desperation to run from my internal pain just blinded me to that fact. Looking back, it's clear as day. There were times when these people disrespected me, habitually disappointed me, put me in a place to apologize for them, where I was embarrassed because of their actions, spread rumors about me, things that had they happened today in this day and age, I would have sprinted away from this dynamic. But sometimes when you're in so much emotional pain and you are experiencing that pain on your own, even sharing the drama, sharing the pain with somebody else in the form of relationship drama, it can seem like kind of a relief. People with depression can sometimes self medicate with substances, with sexual behavior, with impulsive behaviors. And looking back on these relationships, I realized that I was self medicating with partnership. Instead of being faced with being alone in my apartment and having to really deal with what was going on with me and own the uncertainty and the fear that was causing this depression, I decided to link up with somebody else to distract myself from those feelings. And unfortunately, it took away my ability to listen to my gut, and it made me fear the demons that were inside of me so much, to the point where I sacrificed parts of my dignity just to drown out the pain. Depression quieted my inner voice, and my inner voice and my gut instinct is fundamental to how I make my decisions today, how I survive. It's fundamental to my self-care. So even envisioning being back in that space where I was so disconnected from my gut instinct is frightening as hell. It is so scary. It is so scary. And it led me to really scary and fucked up places. When I was in these relationships, I wasn't even in a place to recognize or honor my depression. And it led me to two of the most painful breakups that I've ever experienced. Thank God I haven't experienced something like that. For context, this was well over 10, 15 years ago. But like I said, hindsight is such a gift. It is such an amazing gift because eventually, if you're with the wrong person for the wrong reasons, if you're disconnected from yourself, if you have issues going on like depression and you ignore those issues, it will make itself known in other ways that force you to deal with it. The relationship wasn't right for me. I got cheated on. The relationship wasn't right for me. Eventually, the drama led to violence, And I'm well past the point of blaming myself or feeling sorry for myself because, in a way, I have a lot of gratitude for those experiences because it sharpened my ability to not only trust myself, but to recognize bullshit from down the street. I still struggle with depression and I still struggle with how to manage that depression within relationships. I think that really getting to a point of some kind of equilibrium. And it's not to say that the depression just, evaporates from my body and one day I'm depressed and the next day I'm not, honey, and I'm ready to go find my life partner. That's not what I'm saying. But acknowledging that I'm struggling mentally, taking the time and creating a safe space to figure out what's going on, to go and talk to a therapist, to get my routine back in order, to just sit on the couch and rot for a bit and not be afraid to be alone because that's what I need. I'm at that point right now. This is the best place that I've ever been with said issues, is just radical acceptance. This is me. And not being in a place to fully accept myself is just not an option anymore. The stories that I have from when I dated people who weren't right for me, sometimes they could seem shocking, sometimes they were really scarring and traumatic in a way. But I say all that to say that I truly believe that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. My experiences of the past are thankfully my experiences of the past. The thing that hasn't changed is that I still do date with depression. Now I just have more safety guards when I go into a relationship. I have more of a concept as to whether or not I'm ready to even pursue a relationship. And so far, that's really helped in terms of maintaining my own peace and recognizing situations that are for me and those that aren't. It's not a death sentence to have a mental illness or to have chemical imbalances and pursue intimacy with another person. What's worked for me is just being really transparent with the person that I'm pursuing, with the person who's pursuing me. It's also really helped being honest with myself. When I feel the need to self isolate, when I feel the need to really power down, that's a signal to me that I need to investigate what is going on, what's happening. And when I know what's going on with myself, that makes it so much easier to communicate to others who I am and what I'm all about. Having depression and bringing it up in a relationship setting is really a great buffer. It's a really great filter as to who should be in your life and who shouldn't. Some green flags for me are people who are willing to learn. Like I said, not everybody experiences depression, and I can't expect everybody to be hip to the terminology and to know what a depressive state looks like. But a really great sign to me is somebody who takes the time to sit and listen, maybe do some of their own research, and not really be super eager to offer solutions to problems that they know nothing about. Somebody who's really willing to be a source of support during a tough time. There's nothing wrong with having mental imbalances or depression. And situations that make you feel like that are just simply wrong for you. So, I want to give a big shout out and thank you to my guest today, me. I hope that you guys enjoyed this different format. As I said, I'm going to sprinkle it in here and there, but I just had a word on my spirit. Next week, I have a really fascinating conversation to bring to you guys in the normal form of the show. So if you missed that, it'll be right back. Now more than ever, I hope that everybody is really taking care of themselves in the best way you know how. I will be back here next week, same time, same place. Hit me up on socials, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok at I Shave My Ass for This. Write to me if you have any ideas or have any questions. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, be kind, be safe, and be you.